The Church of St Michael, built circa 1203, served the parish of Newland. It was formerly a grange or farm. Parts of the interior and the font were reused in the new St Leonard's Church. In the 15th century the church was rebuilt, then later rebuilt again to become the mortuary chapel of the almshouses in 1865. In the 1600s, Church House was undoubtedly the priest's house when Newland was served by Malvern Priory. In 1840, Charlotte, Countess Beauchamp, planned to provide accommodation and a church for workers who were living in tied cottages on the Madersfield estate and were left homeless when they were no longer able to work. She pledged her dowry to provide funds for the project. Unfortunately, Charlotte died in 1846, only 58 years of age. The work began in 1862, and Countess Beauchamp laid the foundation stone. In 1863, John Reginald Pindar, 3rd Earl Beauchamp, who was Charlotte's husband, on his death bequeathed her dowry equal to £2.5 million today to complete her promise. In 1864, St Leonard's Church was consecrated and the almshouses dedicated on the 21st of July. The ceremony was much admired by all. The Reverend Skinner, from 1861 to 1877, was the first vicar warden and supervised the finish of the project. He raised money for the completion of the now famous frescoes. He worked throughout his life to maintain the choir school. Soon after Skinner's appointment, there was falling out with the trustees and the Earl. With only 4 boys, Skinner says he will fund it himself, but he was denied access to the school and the school uniforms. The choir school was not part of the original design. The trustees thought it would be a good addition. It seemed strange that some of the almshouses should be converted to provide space for the school. In 1864, the school opens as an industrial school to train orphan boys. The organist and choirmaster acted as teachers. On the spot where the altar stood, a cross is to be placed, Mr. Forsyth of Worcester being entrusted with the order. In 1865, the old St Michael's was demolished. Some of the interior and the roof were saved. The font can now be seen in St Leonard's, mounted on a marble plinth. In 1866, the almshouses and church were finally completed due to the efforts of Frederick Lincoln, who was the son of the 4th Earl. Noak, in his book Noak's Worcestershire in 1868, stated, "Pity 'tis that a new church, which cost £5,000, should have occasioned the destruction of the old one. An humble little structure, but very rare." In 1869, the school was closed on the 1st of January. Trustees used financial problems as an excuse to close it. In 1877, a new vicar warden, the Reverend George Cosby White, was appointed. He was to bring about a revival of the school's reputation for superb church music. In 1879, he reopened the school, and 8 choristers were moved in. They were sent for their education to Maddisfield School and schools in Malvern Link. By 1881, there were 10 choristers in residence. The orphan boys were removed, and advertisements were placed inviting applicants to join at £5 a year. On White's retirement in 1879, the church had an established reputation for its marvellous church music. A more imposing tower was built in 1882. This had a large water tank and fireplaces to stop it freezing. The chimneys can be seen in the photograph. In 1892, it is recorded that 24 pensioners were in residence. They were retired agricultural workers and got a small allowance, lived rent-free, and got medical care when required. In 1897, the Reverend Canon Robert Wilde was in charge until his retirement in 1927. During his reign, the almshouses and church continued to flourish. Wilde was very determined and described as a brilliant man. A younger matron had to be appointed to maintain some order as the boys had started behaving badly. 2 boys were sent home because of very bad behaviour. Wilde decided to return to including academic subjects. In 1929, Father Wilfrid Osborne is appointed Vicar Warden. The next warden, Father Arthur Atherley, arrived in 1938. He tried to revive the choir school, but it wasn't possible. Very few parents were sending their boys due to the last few years of interrupted schooling. In 1945, the Education Act declared the school premises unsuitable, and any hopes of reviving the choir school were lost.